Hey, hey, hey! Welcome back to English Couch, your favorite spot to kick back, relax, and level up your English through real, honest conversations. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mike. And Sarah, before we dive in today, I need to say something.
Oh no, is it dramatic?
Only a little.
Go ahead.
I've been thinking about something that honestly kept me up last night. Do you think most people are actually living their life, like a life they chose? Or are they just kind of going along with a life that happened to them?
Wow, you went straight for the deep end.
I really did. No warm-up, just existential crisis. You're welcome.
Okay, but honestly, that question hits differently. Because I think when most people hear, follow your dreams, they nod along like, yes, absolutely, of course. But then real life walks in and goes, cool story. Now here's your rent, your responsibilities, and everyone's opinions.
Exactly. And suddenly that inspiring advice sounds a lot harder to actually live.
It really does. Because it's not just about courage or passion. It's about money, timing, family, fear, pressure, all of it.
Right. And I think a lot of people are quietly carrying this tension between two voices inside them. One says, be smart, be safe, be responsible. And the other one says, but wait, is this actually the life I wanted?
And the scary part? That second voice doesn't go away, even when things look perfectly fine from the outside.
Yep. You can have a good job, a stable routine, a life that checks all the boxes, and still feel this weird, quiet ache inside, like something isn't fully yours.
That is such a real feeling. And I think that's exactly what we're getting into today.
So today on English Couch, we're talking about dreams, practicality, fear, and the big, honest question. Are you actually living your life, or someone else's version of it?
And we're having this whole conversation in natural, clear American English around the B2 level. So it's a little richer than beginner English, but still very comfortable to follow. Don't stress if you miss a word here or there. Just stay with us. Let the ideas sink in. Your English grows best when you're relaxed and engaged.
And at the end of the episode, we've got a vocabulary couch segment where we break down the best words and phrases from today's conversation. So stick around for that.
And before we forget, if you're enjoying English Couch, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and drop a comment. We want to know, do you feel like you're living the life you actually chose? Be honest. We love real answers.
Okay, let's get into it. Sarah, I want to start here. I think most of us had a version of a dream before life got loud.
Oh, for sure. And I want to be clear. When I say dream, I don't mean something huge and cinematic. I mean something quieter. A feeling, maybe. A version of yourself you always imagined becoming.
Right. Like, it's not always, I want to be a famous actor. Sometimes it's just, I want work that actually means something to me. Or, I want to wake up without dreading the morning.
Yes, that version of a dream feels so much more real to me. It's less about impressing people and more about feeling right inside your own life.
And most people remember that version of themselves. The younger one who knew what they wanted before life started complicating everything.
Before practicality showed up and took over the whole room.
Like an uninvited guest who somehow ended up running the meeting.
Perfect description. But here's what I actually believe. I don't think adulthood kills the dream. I think it just buries it under stuff.
Yes. Responsibilities, expectations, other people's timelines, comparison. All of it starts stacking up, and slowly, that part of you gets pushed into the background.
And then one totally random day, you're driving home or lying in bed, and that old version of you just quietly taps you on the shoulder like, hey, remember me?
And suddenly you're emotional in the most unexpected place.
Always at the worst time. Never when you're ready. Always on a Tuesday.
Always. But that reaction tells you something important. That part of you isn't gone. It's just disconnected.
And that disconnection, I think that's where the real problem starts. Not in one big dramatic moment, but slowly, quietly, over time.
Because people don't usually give up on a dream all at once. Life just gets more expensive. You get more tired. More people start depending on you. And safety starts looking really, really good.
And there's nothing wrong with valuing safety. That's not weakness. That's wisdom sometimes.
Sometimes. But here's where it gets tricky. There's a difference between choosing safety and hiding behind it.
Oh, that's the uncomfortable part.
Right. Because a lot of people don't say, I'm scared. They say, I'm just being realistic.
And sometimes that's completely true. Caution is smart. Waiting is wise.
But sometimes, fear just put on a very professional outfit and started calling itself logic.
Fear has spreadsheets. Fear has 5 reasons why this isn't the right time.
And the worst part? Some of those reasons sound totally reasonable.
That's why self-honesty matters so much here. The real question isn't just, am I being practical? It's, am I being wise? Or am I just protecting myself from discomfort?
Because here's the hard truth. Fear, over time, makes your life smaller.
Say that again because it deserves space.
Fear makes your life smaller. You stop building a life you love and start building a life that just feels safe enough.
And those are 2 very different lives.
But, and this is important, I don't want this conversation to sound like you need to quit your job tomorrow and move to Bali.
Oh, please, no. That's not what we're saying.
Not even a little. Because here's something people don't talk about enough. Restraint is underrated.
Restraint, meaning controlling yourself, not acting purely on emotion.
Right. Restraint isn't giving up. Sometimes restraint is the wisest move you can make. It's your inner voice saying, I want change, but I want to do this right, not just fast.
Because not every bold move is brave. Sometimes what looks like courage is really just burnout in disguise.
Exactly. Running away from a life isn't the same as building a better one.
I remember a season in my own life when I was so stuck that any dramatic change looked brilliant to me. Like anything different had to be better.
And when you're exhausted, that's how it feels.
But if I had acted from that place, I would have made a mess. Sometimes the braver thing is to slow down and build something intentional.
So restraint can actually protect the dream instead of killing it.
Yes, small steps, steady progress, learning quietly, saving money, practicing. That's how real change actually happens.
It's less movie montage and more Tuesday after Tuesday of small, consistent choices.
Which is honestly more powerful. But there's also a fine line between moving carefully and just never moving.
Right, because some people live in preparation mode forever. Beautiful plans, color-coded journals, zero action.
Gorgeous planning, 0 movement.
And that's where preparation quietly becomes hiding.
So what's the difference? What actually gets people moving?
I think it's conviction. That deep inner knowing that says, I don't know exactly how this works out, but I know this matters to me.
And conviction doesn't mean fear disappears. You can be scared and still move.
Fear can absolutely ride along. It just can't be the one driving.
Fear can sit in the back and complain the whole time. That's fine.
Exactly. And eventually, for a lot of people, there's a moment, not always dramatic, but very honest, where staying the same starts hurting more than trying.
Waiting starts to feel heavier than doing.
And that's usually the moment people finally take a step. Not because everything's figured out, just because they can't keep ignoring that part of themselves anymore.
And that brings us to maybe the deepest question of this whole conversation. If that part of you is so real, whose life have you actually been living?
Because I genuinely believe a lot of people are living a life they never fully chose. They inherited it.
Ideas about what success looks like, what a good life is, what a smart decision means, from family, from culture, from comparison, from fear.
And then they spend years getting really good at a life they never stopped to question.
Nobody says, please abandon yourself quietly. It just happens through 1,000 small messages that say, this is what sensible people do.
And before you know it, you're following a path that's familiar and approved, but maybe not really yours.
And there's this strange sadness that can come from that. Your life looks fine on paper, but inside you feel weirdly absent from it.
Like you're watching your own life from slightly outside it.
Yes. And that's why I think the goal isn't really follow your dream or be practical. Both extremes miss the point.
I think the more honest goal is this: don't abandon yourself.
That's it. That's the whole thing right there.
Because not everyone can blow up their life and start over right now. Real life is real. Bills are real. Family is real. Timing is real.
But there is a massive difference between moving slowly and giving up on yourself completely.
Slow is not failure. Careful is not failure. Small is not failure.
What becomes dangerous is deciding that deeper part of you simply doesn't matter anymore.
So maybe the dream doesn't need a dramatic gesture. Maybe it just needs loyalty.
I love that word here, loyalty. A quiet refusal to forget yourself completely.
And even if you can't make a huge move today, you can learn something, save something, practice something, ask a better question, make a little more room for what matters.
Maybe the dream changed shape too. Maybe it got quieter on the outside, but deeper on the inside. Maybe now it's peace, or creative work, or a life that just feels genuinely like yours.
And that still counts. It counts completely.
So maybe the real question isn't, should I follow my dreams or be practical? Maybe it's, how do I stay loyal to what matters to me while still living responsibly in the real world?
Dreams and practicality don't have to be enemies.
They just need to learn how to share a couch.
See what she did there? English couch. We always come back around.
Okay, let's slow it down and look at some of the best words and phrases from today's conversation.
First up, aspiration. An aspiration is a strong hope or goal, something you deeply want for your life. She had a quiet aspiration to build a life that felt truly her own.
Next, restraint. Restraint means controlling yourself and not acting too quickly, especially when emotions are high. He showed restraint and chose not to make a decision from a place of frustration.
Then, conviction. Conviction is a deep inner belief that something is right or important to you. She didn't have all the answers, but she had conviction, and that kept her moving.
Next up, take the plunge. This means to finally do something bold after hesitating for a long time. After years of thinking about it, he took the plunge and started his own business.
And hold back. To hold back means to stop yourself from doing or saying what you really want, often because of fear. She wanted to speak honestly, but kept holding back.
And finally, work toward. To work toward something means to make slow, steady progress toward a goal. Every small step she took was working toward the life she actually wanted.
Great words. And honestly, they all connect to the heart of today's conversation.
They do. And here's what we'll leave you with today. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need a perfect plan or a fearless heart.
You just need to stay connected to what matters to you, even a little, even slowly.
Because staying close to yourself, that's not small. That's everything.
This is Mike.
And this is Sarah. Thanks for spending this time with us on English Couch. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.